So, welcome everyone. How lovely to have all of you pouring in like this. It feels wonderful. And of course, the draw is Neeraja and Lokesh, who have very, very generously are giving their time to us. And with SHEmantrans, what you have is a group who's always willing to learn from each other, from celebrities, from anyone. So just to give context, She Talks is the initiative of the She Coaches Committee of SHEmantra. So, and this is our third session that we're doing this year. The first one was a talk from Roshni on Switch the Pitch, which we all learned and did. We all participated, and it was absolutely enlightening to know how we could do that. Then we had one session where we had three speakers. We had Mansi Vasist, we have Lakshmi Narayan, and we had Neelima Deshpande. And it was an electrifying session. We all loved it, with, of course, a very generous mentor for them, TEDx speaker, which is Sri Vidya. And we have preparations going on for the next session, which everybody mark your calendar, 22nd of Feb, being mentored by Lokesh. So that's the context. And every month we are bringing a session where we help everyone to build their ability and competence to do public speaking and to give TED-like talks and build this competence in as much as we can, because I don't think there's any limit to how well you can speak. You can always do better. And the other purpose of She Talks is to learn about modalities from each other. And that's why those are the topics that we bring in the She Talks session. So, so many of you are here. Thank you for coming. I have a question for you. When somebody offers you a speaking assignment, what is the first emotion that comes to you? Is it fear? Is it anxiety? Is it excitement? So I'm giving you three options. If you can stay with that, wonderful. If you want to say something more, that's also okay. Okay. You're very, very courageous people. Wonderful. Okay. Excitement, excitement, excitement. Right. Okay. Yes.
Kavita got the question. Huh? Is it paid?
My favorite question.
Yes. I guess there's little more fear if it's paid. Anyway, nervous. Yes. Nervous excitement. Actually, that is how I would put it too. Lovely. So yes, we all have these kind of feelings, and I think our speakers, today's speakers, panelists will tell us more about what they go through when they have to talk about, when they have to take speaking gigs, and at least what they felt initially. Maybe now they don't. Yes, some butterflies in the stomach, absolutely. And that is what gets us going, right, to give our best. Thank you. And my second question is, and this is insight to our panelists. How many speaking assignments have you done in the last 6 months? Just put a number. Yeah, and just go ahead and put a number. How many speaking assignments have you done in the last 6 months? Yeah, so we have quite a competent audience. Wow, Shilpa says 10, 11. Somebody, Farah says 12 plus. Preeti 10. Right, help. Kavita, thank you. That's wonderful. You are going to be our point of contact. Wow, Chitra says 15 plus. Wonderful. Okay, so we have, oh wow, Raina, you beat it, 25 plus. Wonderful. So that means every month you have about, 4 or 5 assignments. Wonderful. Great. So that's good feedback for our audience. And before I hand over to Roshni, I just want to introduce the She Coaches Core Committee. We have Roshni is the new joinee. So please welcome Roshni to the She Coaches Core Committee. We are very, very pleased to have this very, very resourceful, talented, competent person to our team. And for those who may not be familiar, I'll just share my screen and show you who all we are. So that's me, there's Roshni, that's Anjani and Surekha. So Anjani and Surekha are away today, otherwise they would have loved to be here. So, oops, 1 second, I will stop the share. Okay, so with that, I'm going to hand you over to Roshni. Roshni, please take it away. And we are looking forward to a wonderful, enlightening session and then make more moolah soon after. Okay, all the best to all of you.
Hey, thank you so much, Smriti, for an energetic start to this evening. I know this is a little unusual time for the She Mantra meetings to happen, but thank you so much for 50 plus people to joining in. So yes, Lokesh, Neeraja, a lot of pressure on you. And looking at the numbers that people have already done 15 plus, 20 plus speaking gigs in the past 6 months. So yes, we better give some huge value to them, and I'm sure both of you will be able to do that. And let me just begin by introducing our esteemed guests for the day. First up is Neeraja Ganesh. Neeraja is a TEDx speaker and has also been invited by various other prestigious forums like Lean In, IEEE, PMI, TIE, NASSCOM, CII across the globe to deliver talks on a variety of topics. Networking for Results and How to Tell Your Story are two of her signature programs. She has won multiple awards, most recent being the Jobs for Her Rising Award in the Women in Impact category. She also heads the education initiatives at Aspire for Her, and in a freelance capacity, Neeraja conducts various training programs on leadership and behaviors. Welcome, Neeraja, and can you tell us briefly about how you created such an extensive speaking opportunity career for yourself?
Roshni, and thank you all of you for having come in at 7 p.m., which is not necessarily the best hour, I think, for meetings and workshops and webinars, but I'm glad that there is interest. And let me answer the question that Smriti asked of the feeling that I get when I get invited, including sitting here today. There is always fear. I don't think we can get away with fear. And I think more with women, you know, the imposter syndrome forever comes in, and that's definitely there with me, asking me, do you think you really can, you know, manage this audience, and whichever audience that is, right? So it's all right. I think I always calm the imposter down saying, what's the worst that can happen? I will only mess it up, right? That's about it. Nobody's going to kill me for having messed it up, and then I move on. So I think the introduction has already been done, but let me talk about, of course, people associate me with networking, that I network a lot. I have a large network, and I give talks on networking. I facilitate networking at events, right? So networking happens to be one of my signature topics. Be it a keynote address, panel discussions, longer format talks, video interviews, workshops, facilitated networking sessions at conferences. And the most recent one that came by was this organization has signed me up for a 3-month networking program, saying that you have to get them to network at the end of this. There's no talk business. You come, you give 1 hour talk, and then people decide what they feel. No, at the end of these 3 months, we want to see all the women in our organization networking within and outside. So that's a new one for me. So yes, that's a recall value for Neeraja, for sure. Now, there is another recall value that I'm extremely proud of. I'll narrate a story. I was asked to moderate a roundtable discussion for a new technology organization that has been set up in Bangalore. The global CTO and the newly appointed India head, who happens to be an Indian but has not been in India for many years, were attending that roundtable conference. And there was an organization who was setting up shop for this new company. And someone from that organization invited me to moderate this roundtable. And there were about 10 to 11 people at the round table, technology heads, diversity and inclusion heads. There were platform owners who supported diversity and inclusion. And as I walked into the room, and this was probably the first of the in-person events that was happening when the COVID was kind of, hiding before it once again came back. As I walked into the room, the person who invited me to moderate the roundtable said, Neeraja, whenever I think of diversity and inclusion, the only person who comes to mind is Neeraja. And hence I invited you for moderating this roundtable. So I think this kind of does justice to my introduction, networking and being in the D&I landscape. And I believe the way I have built this brand is obviously living it day to day, 2, speaking about it at every possible opportunity, and 3, also writing about it. So that's what I have to submit here.
Building a high recall value, and that's how you created so many speaking opportunities. Now, next, let me welcome our second panelist, Mr. Lokesh Nathany. Lokesh calls himself a human connector and people happiness evangelist. He believes that storytelling is the way to connect, communicate, and grow as individuals. Lokesh is the founder of My Innings, a platform for both storytellers and listeners. He is a TEDx speaker as well as the licensee curator and host of TEDx Chaurangi, Kolkata. He has curated more than 100 speakers and helps them deliver an impactful talk. His sense of humor and ability to connect is his biggest strength, and he loves his coffee when it's black. Lokesh's mantra in life is treat humans as humans and life will be beautiful. That's some very interesting bio you have sent to us, Lokesh. Tell us a little bit about why did you decide or chose to get into a profession of speaking? I mean, you've helped 100 plus people to get on stage. How did it all happen?
Hi, thanks so much, Roshni. Thanks, Smriti. And thank you everybody at SHEmantra for inviting me here. I think thanks to Meera that I'm here. I met her it's about 2 weeks now since we met in Chennai at Professional Speakers Association of India event. And we discussed, and here I am. So great, happy to be here. Why I do public speaking is like what my family says, that they keep asking me, why are you doing this? Leaving your corporate life. I said, this is one thing where you don't need any qualification. And I don't have any qualification. So, we all have grown with stories. And I think I come from a time where stories were the only way to communicate, whether it's my parents, teachers, friendly conversation, stories were the thing. And so it came very easy and natural to me in terms of having conversation and bringing stories into it. So the honest answer is it doesn't need any qualification. If you want to be a storyteller, all you need to do is you need to ask yourself, do you have a story? And do you believe in that story? I think if you have these 2 things, rest all can slowly progress. And this is something that I've experienced in last about 5-6 years, because I don't have any formal training or coaching on storytelling or public speaking. So I'm that typical homegrown trial and error method, started speaking with a lot of fear, used to run away from stage once upon a time. Before my name could announce, nobody will find me. I'm like 5 kilometers away. I used to run away. Actually, I used to run away. And then I realized that in my corporate life, if I really want to grow in leadership role, I need to, embrace the stage, and I cannot just run away. So what started very shakingly over a period of time, it got refined. Do I get nervous today? Yes, I think Neeraja is absolutely right. Every time I go on stage, first few about 30, 40, 50 seconds are very nervous time frame. And I think that happens to the best of the speakers across the world. So it's very, very normal. It is not something that one should, oh my God, why am I shaking? Why am I nervous? You'll be surprised to know, I was recently watching an interview of Mr. Bachchan for the promo of Uchai, and he and Anupam Kher, they all said the same thing, that the first few minutes at the set are very, very scary, nervous, even today. Or in case, you relate to sports, if you have ever seen a Rahul Dravid or a Sachin Tendulkar bat, you'll find that first 3-4 minutes, they're very, very scratchy. And after that, they find their feet. So I think it's absolutely normal to be there. I've learned this a lot over, last 7-8 months. I got into something with Army Wives. and that is the latest addition to the other works that I'm doing. I thought the best way I could contribute to the Indian Army is trying to by bringing the stories of Fauj ke piche ki Fauj. See, we all read about the warriors who are fighting on the border, and but their wives, their spouses, their family members, they go through a lot, and most of us are not aware of their stories. So this is one initiative that we launched last year, working directly with the First Lady in Delhi, where we have done 2 events now where we bring in stories by the army wives, and their stories really you have to hear. And I realize that everybody has a story. I'm sure in this call right now, we are 61 of us, including myself, and everybody has at least one story, if not more. So yeah, I think that's the way to communicate. And the good news is that the world has come a full circle now. We at least belong to a country, a nation where storytelling has been there as long as I think humans are there. Unfortunately, it was left only to the movies. That was the biggest medium for us from a storytelling perspective, and our politicians who could tell a story and get votes, if you actually think about it. The good news is that in corporate world now, again, storytelling has come a full circle and people have started to realize the power of stories to connect, communicate, and grow. That's my
an
take. Yeah.
important aspect you have highlighted, and thanks both to Neeraja and Lokesh for putting us at ease and comfort that it's okay to be anxious in the first few seconds and minutes when you go to the stage. And thanks also for reiterating that what's important is not the qualification but the stories, and everyone has got the story. And that's a beautiful way to start today's conversation. And let's get the ball rolling and start off with our rapid fire as to how to get more speaking opportunities for all of us who are present in this room today. So let me start with you, Neeraja, first. And since we are an audience of mostly coaches and consultants who probably are already doing speaking engagements or are looking to get into such kind of activity. But at the outset, I want to ask that what are some of the key objectives that one should look for when they speak, when they pick up speaking opportunities? What are the outcomes of a speaking opportunity for people like us who are coaches and consultants who work with corporates and one-to-one coaching kind of an engagement?
Sure, thanks. So when I quit the corporate, it was 2017, right? And I went to head the Jobs for Her Foundation. So you will hear a lot of stories. By now, you know that, I'm also a storyteller. So you will hear a lot of stories through this session also. When I went to head the Jobs for Her Foundation, I started getting invites to speak at some events. And not because they wanted Neeraja Ganesh, they wanted the head of Jobs for Her Foundation. So that's how it started. That particular role called me on stage, and I would be speaking. And I remember that the very first workshop, and here I will, for a bit of time, interchange workshops and talks, because then from there is when the actual, speaking engagements have come my way. So for the first workshop, and I don't know if Nasreen is here, Nasreen had curated a 2-day women's leadership development program. And in that, there was a section on networking. And that was my first talk on networking. She had reached out to Jobs for Her for someone to facilitate, and that came my way. So that is how it started. And of course, in that role, I was doing a lot of webinars for Jobs for Her. The thing that happened was every time I spoke, I used to get this feedback from the attendees that they found it very different to the other talks or workshops that they had attended, because I used to share a lot from my experiences. And when you share your experiences, there is that connect. And the women, largely all of them were women who were attending these sessions, could relate to themselves being there, either in the past or in the moment. And they were able to see that I was there and I had done something to kind of deal with that situation or overcome that. And they felt if I could do it, they could also do it. They felt it was really different in the aspects of taking action. And they told me that it transformed them. And I told myself, if a 10-minute talk, a 30-minute talk can transform someone, I think I should do more of this. What am I doing? I'm just narrating my experiences through stories. And, if it can be transformational to someone, I must do more of that. Now, how do you do more of talking? I'm talking pre-pandemic, right? You got to land up at conferences. And those days, it was largely in person. All conferences were in person, and I had a day job. So it was not that I was only speaking. So then I realized that there's power in writing, and I started writing also so that, my stories could reach larger audiences and that impact could be created. So I will say that my objective when I started speaking was to create this impact, which also is there in my LinkedIn headline, which says to bring about a positive mindset shift with every interaction that I have with my audiences. Now, when I quit from the Jobs for Foundation in 2019, I then decided that this will become one of the streams for me. I want to continue. Of course, there would be speaking for impact, but there would also be, kind of other formats of workshops and trainings that I would like to offer. That was 2019. So I said, okay, how do I, because till now the invites were coming to head Jobs for her foundation, right? So I need to kind of make myself visible and known. So I went all out to all these co-working spaces in Bangalore, or there are event spaces like, I don't know if people from Bangalore know of Mybo Tree and all of that, where they do these events. And I offered myself. I said, okay, I can do a talk on this. They will get the audience. I'm there. Of course, it's free because I was trying to establish myself and get some branding for myself. So I did that quite a bit in 2019. And in 2020, January, I decided now, not so much of free, let me go ahead and look at paid. And it started coming. Jan 2020, it did start coming. And then we all know what happened in March 2020, right? Forget paid. I don't think anybody was willing to kind of offer any external person anything for anything, right? They were all trying to conserve the money. In fact, layoffs, etc., was happening with the pandemic. So I decided, okay, my vision for 2020 is completely changed. And I started attending a lot of webinars to keep my sanity in place. But what also happened, and that was my biggest realization, was that some form of a brand had already been created for me. And between April 2020 to December 2020, I must have spoken at about 60 events. Online, of course, but global. It didn't matter. I accepted everything because, as I said, I had to retain my sanity and keep doing something productive. And the underlying was it creating an impact? And it was. I could kind of sense that. Whether it was 10 homemakers that I was addressing because there was a platform that was trying to get them digital skills, or there was a large conference, globally that I was addressing. Eventually, the impact was there and I went about. I said it didn't matter whether it was paid or it was largely not paid. Because one, they were taking care of the promotions and the branding. It was, doing that for me. They were getting the audience. So I was, getting new followers. And there was a video recording of it at the end of it. So I could use that as collateral for future in case someone said, okay, Neeraja, what do you do? And is there a sample? And, it was always available. So that's how 2020 went. Of course, my strategies from the future years have changed and we'll talk about it. But the point that I'm trying to make is, for me, the underlying, until date, the underlying objective of taking on a speaking engagement is the impact that I can create. And I think all of us need to reflect on the why. Why is it that we want to speak? Of course, we can always debate paid, not paid. And today I do ask, because I've realized that people also need to understand the value of what they are getting, correct? And hence, I do coach a fee. But that is not what I'm after. It's not a career for me. This is not the career stream for me. It is because I know that I can still continue to create the impact. So please reflect on the why. Before jumping into, okay, I want 10 gigs and where do I go? And, that will happen. But if you can
that's an actually very interesting point that you have made, that go back to your why. And for you, it was that you are creating impact through speaking. But what is also very relevant is that your branding and you are getting the collaterals for future use is also getting created. Those assets are getting created.
Absolutely.
Since you touched about the paid aspect also, let me put across this question to Lokesh, because you do a lot of speaking assignments in the paid capacity. So can you at the outset tell us the difference between paid and non-paid assignments? Like, now that we know there are a few objectives like Neeraja shared, that we can look for creating more impact and branding for ourselves, but specifically if you can highlight a few differences between professional and public speaking.
So first of all, I don't think there's really much to differentiate between professional and public speaking. speaking is speaking. Now the question comes that what is paid and what is unpaid. I mean, it's a very simple thing. I mean, anything that you speak about, and if you are paid for it, it's a paid assignment, and if you are not being paid, it is not paid. It's as simple as that. Now the question comes is, how do you learn to start asking for it? So let me ask you this, all of you are here. What I always believed in कि अगर बच्चा रोता नहीं है तो माँ भी उसे दूध नहीं पिलाती है. I'm sure all of you will agree to this, right? Till a child doesn't cry, you don't give him the milk, give him or her the milk. And the same goes for our profession, our trade. If you don't ask for it, why would anybody write a check for you? And so just to share with you, I never used to ask for money. I still remember first 3-4 years, just out of passion of public speaking, anybody used to invite me and say, okay, I'll do it. And most of the invitations used to come from people known to me. So I even used to pay my own travel at times. Ki chalo theek hai, koi nahi, let me go and do it, because I love speaking. And it went on like this for about 3.5-4 years. And during pandemic, I got a call from a client, and they said, we want to do something on public speaking, or on the same space, on the talk show. And that was the first time I remember. I said, okay, fine, I'll come back to you. I'll send you an email with my proposal. This was sometime in December 2020. And that was the first time I actually wrote an email saying, this is my cost, if you want me to curate, design, and host the entire show. And within about half an hour, they reverted back saying, with a thumbs up, saying that let's start. And then the first thought that came to my mind was, did I undersell myself? Like, imagine now, never asked for money. First time asked for it, and somebody agreed in half an hour's time. So I was like, oh my God, it actually works. That was one reaction, that if I ask, I will get it. But did I, ask for much lesser, because no negotiation, nothing, and half an hour, I get a yes. I think that was a time when I decided that from now on, I will not do assignments without a fee. But still, we need to differentiate between where you would like to do with a fee and where you can do without a fee. I think that distinction is very, very important. And what is happening in the market is, because I manage about 10-12 speakers exclusively, I do their entire work with the clients. What I figured out is that everybody will call you and say, either we don't have a budget, or this is not for profit, this is for a community building, and so on and so forth. So I'm talking about speakers who have some great body of work. They are otherwise being paid, but everybody will call them and say, sir, we don't have budgets, or this is purely for community building. This I've seen in last 6 months, and we have managed to convert a lot of it into a paid talk. So I figured out that in our country, we have a hangover of celebrity speakers. And, many of you here will feel, oh, I'm not a celebrity speaker. I'm just a normal coach or whatever. So I started asking questions to all these people that, tell me, if you invite a Devdutt Patnaik, or if you invite a Chetan Bhagat, or if you invite a Gaur Gopal Das, are you seriously telling me that they don't charge anything? Because to the best of my knowledge, and because I'm a speaker aggregator as well, I know that they don't come for even less than 10 lakh rupees. Also, they'll make you feel that they're doing a favor to you. Mm-hmm. And this is where these communities started to, they had no answer. And they still tried their luck. And we said, no, we will not, my speakers or myself will not come for a talk. A lot of people will also give you this gyan saying that your visibility will increase. Mm-hmm. If you come on our platform, the world will get to know you. I mean, who decides that? They or you? They obviously will speak very high about their platforms, but you need to figure out, do you really want to be there for nothing? And I've spoken to a lot of foreign speakers from outside India who do very high value, they write a very high value check to speak at an event. They said, just say no. This is such a big myth that, oh, this is a big brand, so let me start with it. Mm. You have to reach a point in life where you need to tell yourself, I'm not doing it.
Mm. Rightly said, Lokesh. In fact, another question, a follow-up question, which I already had in mind to ask you is that you talked about that there are platforms which make available speaking opportunities. We'll talk about those a little bit further. And there are big celebrities out there. But then how do we enable ourselves or equip ourselves or make ourselves shine through this entire landscape of celebrities being called for speaking gigs and paid speaking gigs, that to the quantum of 10 lakhs for an hour kind of a speaking. So how does one make themselves seen and heard and being noticed and called for as a speaker to these opportunities amongst these celebrities?
Right. So first of all, please clear this perception that there's a very small population that invites celebrity speakers because they're very, very expensive. Number one. Number two is you need to have that self-belief that you are no less. The challenge is we always underplay ourselves. There's serious lack of self-belief that no, why will somebody pay me? This is a question that we are always posing to ourselves, that why will somebody pay me? What great work am I doing? Now, as long as you don't have this belief that why somebody will pay you, believe you me, nobody will pay you. True. So the starting point is, as Neeraja rightly said, you need to ask yourself, why are you doing this? Are you doing this because you love to speak? Are you doing this because it's your hobby? Then I think you can look for better hobby. Are you doing this because you have some time and you want to do something about it? Or are you doing it because of the peer pressure that within your peers, suddenly you see these two very normal women, they started to speak and people have started to like their talks or posts on social media. So I have this FOMO, so I need to speak now. Or is it something that you really believe that there is something in you that you want to share with the world and you can add some value? So first and most important thing is you need to ask yourself why you want to do this, because till you don't find this why, you'll always have this serious inferiority complex when you look at social media. Because as per social media, every speaker is paid, and believe me, it's all lies. 99.9% of them who post regularly on social media are not paid. But because we see their post, because we see a nice brand at the backdrop, we feel, oh my God, she's getting so many talks. I've done better than her in life. Why I'm not getting this? So first answer
this.
That is
some behind the scenes happening.
Absolutely. As per social media, there is no sadness. There is nothing. Everything is hunky-dory in this world. Because you see the best of the holiday pictures, best of the talks, everything you see the best. And sometimes it can really work on your emotions and it can take you into depression. I'm sure many of the coaches here will agree. They get a lot of such cases where people say, you know what, I'm feeling left out. What wrong am I doing in life? So first and most important thing is find your why you want to do it. The second is have that self-belief that whatever you have to offer, it need not be larger than life. It can be just a next door girl story. Probably you face so many challenges in life and you could convert those challenges into some success, and more importantly, could put in words. Because ultimately, what is storytelling? Storytelling is all about your own life experiences, the life lessons that you learn. And when you speak about them, they become inspiration. Yeah. And I'm sure each one of us have experiences, life experiences. We have life lessons. So you need to identify what is your body of work where you strongly believe in. And then what you need to do is till you build a body of work, because till you don't have body of work, everybody will say, it's like you're going for a job and everybody says, how much experience do you have? I mean, if everybody asks that same question, when will I get an experience? So same goes with public speaking also. Everybody will ask you. So what I will suggest, this is my take and each has its own. Try and do as many assignments at least locally, whether it's schools, whether it is even smaller companies, doesn't matter, because people don't go deep into it and say how big the organization was where you spoke. And it is okay to do free, at least till you have 7, 8, 9, 10 videos and post to create that body of work for yourself. Then only people will start recognizing, oh, wow, on this topic, I think she is the one. On this topic, she is the one. So I think that's very, very important that you start building your body of work. And initially, it's okay to say yes to almost everything. But try and find out invites, or, even if you have to invite yourself. I'll give you an example. I have done a lot of self-inviting in the early days. Even now I do that. Suppose I want, sorry?
What does self-inviting mean?
So take, for example, everybody looks at social media with different purposes. So when I'm looking at social media or I'm seeing a poster of any event happening where I could see speakers, so my focus is who is the organizer. My focus is never what's the topic. I don't care at all. Who is the organizer? where is this event happening, what is the subject all about, and then I will go and do Google. You find everything.
In fact, that is the question I will come to in a
Yeah.
bit.
So I
But
will not
then,
answer it now,
yeah,
but you need to ask yourself, what are you seeking from social media or any post? Like if you're reading a newspaper and you see an advertisement for a forthcoming talk show, or you keep getting these invites on Facebook, once you start saying yes to few, automatically the algorithm starts throwing you many events. I think make an archive of those events and start working on that.
yes. So I get from you that you talked about the why, the value, and build a body of work so that people are able to
And
recognize you.
lastly, if I can just add, self-belief is very, very important. So there are few speakers. So I'll tell you, there's one speaker in Calcutta. She is MBBS MD psychiatry. She is a champ on the subject, very well qualified. The other day, she received a call from a company and she passed on to me saying that, can you speak to them and figure out the whole, the fees and everything else. And I quoted 1 lakh rupees for her. And I told her that, doc, I have quoted 1 lakh rupees as your fees for speaking. And she's like, Lokesh ji, who will give me 1 lakh? And I blasted her. I said, tell me, who are you? You are MBBS MD. I said, every second person is charging 1 lakh rupees for whatever reason. And you are MBBS MD with 10 years plus work. And you still have so much of doubt. Nahi, aap 75,000 hi maang lijiye. What if they don't pay? So, this self-belief is very, very important, because if you don't value yourself, and even today, some of the best speakers are very scared to ask for a prize. Yeah.
Yes. That is also something which we need to touch upon definitely. But I want to bring in Neeraja to add on to this point, because with why and value, you also touched upon niche with respect to building a recall value, right? So Neeraja, can you talk to us a little bit about, is it important for everyone to build a signature talk of theirs? Or is it okay to have multiple topics in your kitty and you can like adapt and curate your conversations or speaking with respect to the audience who's available out there? So what is the right strategy to go about?
So before answering that, let me tell you that, for those of you who are on the Mumbai group, and I had said I might be coming to Mumbai, and I was not confirming that at all. For the only reason was I was asking them to pay me. They were going to take care of my travel, but I said, no, you got to pay me for my speaking. And that got confirmed only today. So yeah, go for it. People, they will, regardless of NGO, not for profit, they will say the same things. They will +1 to you, Lokesh. That is what happens. But when you know your value and the value that they are going to, get from that, you should definitely ask for it. So going back to your question, Roshni, when I introduced myself, I said there's a niche. I said networking. I said storytelling are kind of my signature topics, right? And then, of course, there is a barrage of topics under the diversity and inclusion umbrella. And I keep adding to that basket. But and hence, in some ways, I think the signature topics could increase over a period of time. But I think what is most important is the audience. They do play a big part in deciding what the topic is. Since we are, in the Women's Day, Women's Month, period now, let me tell you, so many people have come to me asking me, what are the Women's Day offerings that you have? And I say, I don't have any offer, right? I have myself to offer. Now you tell me, what do you want? And the reason for that, I will tell you, is I'll give you an example. And this is an example I'm quoting. My husband always tells me, and maybe we did Moola recently, so it's coming to mind again and again. How many of us have seen these investment planners, insurance sellers, if I may call? There'll be a new plan that is launched, or there is a target that they have to reach, and they will get a huge incentive if they sell a particular plan, and they'll go and sell that to the customer, even without understanding whether the customer has a need for it, right? And my husband keeps saying, I won't sell like that. I really want to understand what the customer's, phase of life is and whether there is a need for such a plan or not. Similarly, I think our audience make the difference in terms of what you're giving them. So, for example, if someone says which topic, I may say work-life integration is a good topic for Women's Day. Maybe it is, right? But there was this organization that told me that they have their vice president level of employees, so really senior leaders, at 27, 28 age. That's the leadership. That's how young the leadership is. And these boys, I have to call them boys, 27, 28, right, are so aggressive and they're growing. And there are maybe 2 women in that league, same age. So you can imagine the pressure that the women go through, and they're almost thinking whether it's worth kind of racing with them. And a level down or 2 levels down, the women are thinking, do I really have to fight it out and reach there? Or maybe let me quit from here and join somewhere else where this race is not there. So this was explained to me. And if I had not understood it and said, hey, work-life integration, no one would have come. So even if they had come, they wouldn't have been interested, right? So I think the audience makes the difference in terms of, you can have your niche, but also figure out what the audience is like and why is it that they're going to sit through a talk, and kind of combine it. So for example, this time Women's Day has, a particular theme, that is equity, and UN Women have a theme around innovation. Combine it with the theme to what the organization is going through and deliver the talk. Like Shreya just now mentioned, at New Horizon College, they asked me to do a keynote. The topic was India at 75, how women are enabling our country, right? Mm-hmm. These are students. So I felt the need, and at that time is when Jacinta, the New Zealand Prime Minister's news was all over with the BBC headline saying, can women have it all, because she had resigned. So I thought this is what I want to talk about, but I weaved in, the theme of the 3 E's that they have with that story to say that, it's up to us to decide our all. So I would definitely go with saying that the audience definitely has a big part to play, but you need to have your niche to get called. That is also there.
Awesome. I liked the way you balanced it out very well, that you do need to create your niche, but also be mindful about the requirements of the person who is bringing you in as a paid speaker, because then you need to curate your speech according to the audience. Having said that, I also see that here there will be a lot of reinventing of the wheel and developing of a new speech altogether, a lot of time and effort going in. Then in such a scenario, how do you then arrive at the right pricing for your speaking? And I would of course like Lokesh also to add to this, but you can share your approach to pricing your speaking engagements, and then Lokesh can add.
So I told you my 2020 story. Free mein kiya sab kuch 60 talks, right? So in 2021, I decided to space out. It was still coming my way, but I decided to space out. So that was my 2021 strategy, to say I'll probably do one free speaking gig, because you still need to be floating around. You still need to be seen. But I will space it out. And for example, you get a lot of, and Roshni, you're a podcaster, right? So you will know, I get invited to speak on podcasts as guests. Yes. And some people have a season, and so they may finish recording everything in a month. Some people may have it forever and they keep recording through the year. So then I would say, if somebody came to me in Jan, I said, April mein karte hain, so that, in April, I'm floating around with that podcast. So the branding is still, happening, and I'm still seen and visible. So I spaced it out because I also wanted to do paid stuff. So I get time for that. The second thing that I did in 2021 was I chose which platforms I will go and speak at when it was coming, because I didn't want to go in the same platforms again and again. So for example, when Project Management of Institute would invite me, I agreed to it, even if it was free, because this was a global platform and you had project managers from all companies across the globe attending that, which meant that it obviously will also have some form of lead that may come from a few of them and could get converted into other kind of business, right? So that was my 2021 strategy. My 2022 strategy was, I will seek out. And how do I seek out? And Lokesh kind of gave it very brilliantly. So, look around. Where are events happening? Who is speaking? And what is the theme? And apply. Applications are also there in certain, conferences. TEDx, of course, also has applications, but the TEDx that came my way was by referral. But after that, I did quite a bit of research, and I think I applied to TEDx's, which didn't happen. But in the beginning of this year, I got invited from 2 other TEDx's. But it also followed with a regret from them. saying that the format has changed, it is shorter, we release lesser number of speakers, etc. But when I said seek out, this is what I also did. I looked at this global conference that was happening. I got invited to participate. I felt it was a great opportunity. I wrote to the CEO. I connected with him on LinkedIn. I wrote to him and I said, can I speak? And by the next day, the speaker curation team had come to me. I think between whoever that figured out what my niche was in the diversity and inclusion space. I don't even know if they had a track on D&I, but they created a track on D&I. They found 2 other speakers and that happened, right? So that's another, model to kind of reach out. And in terms of the paid stuff, I have kind of, realized that if you ask, it will come. And I've quoted a fee, and usually there has been no negotiation. They will take their time, they will sit on it for a while, trying to tell you, we are trying our very best. And, but it does come your way in terms of whatever you've quoted. But I also do it a little differently. For example, I've gotten invited to do a keynote in April for this global organization, Society of Women Engineers, SWE. They have their conferences in 5 countries. 3 in US, 1 in India, and 1 in Spain. First time in 3 years, they're doing an in-person. And they said that they will have more than 800 women attending that conference. They invited me to do a keynote, which means the impact is huge. And I did ask for a fee and they kind of, agreed. But what I've said is a fee plus, can you give me a few free passes? Because it's a paid conference, which I would like to, give to my community. So I kind of balance it out. It doesn't have to be everything for yourselves because you also want to do something for your community. And I would like to give.
What are the parameters one should consider, like the audience size, or is it a paid event or non-paid event for the participants or the attendees? Brand, what are the parameters one should consider to arrive at a budget also or a quotation to give to the.
Yeah, so I have a formula. I usually look at, I've not really looked at a brand per se, and Lokesh might be able to help me in that, but I do look at the number of participants. I do look at it because I feel that every person attending, you're creating an impact. So that is a multiplier factor. So I do look at number of people who may attend that event. Sponsored event, ticketed event for sure is a parameter to consider when you're quoting a price. And as I said, if I feel that this is going to help my community and they who may not necessarily be able to buy those passes, then I kind of divide it. I say, okay, this is my fee, and the rest you give it to me as passes because I would like to kind of get my community to attend that. So yeah, but I have not put brand in the formula. I have looked at what is the duration of the talk they're asking me to speak, number of people who are attending, and for sure, ticketed and sponsored events. That's what I go.
What's your take, Lokesh? What's your formula?
So before, I answer this, let me ask a question to all of you here. If suppose right now I offer all of you one talk of half an hour, and I say that it's a paid talk, why don't you all type on the chat box, what will be your price? Let's see. Okay. Shraddha is saying 45. And, treat this as a game. Don't take it very seriously. Oh, how can I reveal my price, etc., etc. Just, just play along.
Yes,
my first one. No, I'm paying you. I'm saying there'll be a fees. Okay. So Ravati says 1 lakh. 50,000, 50,000, $25, or is it 25K? I don't know. Mine have been free so far. Great. So, thanks for the response. So to me, price is a discovery that happens over a period of time. Okay. There is no such set formula that, okay, I will charge 2 lakhs, I'll charge 25,000, I'll charge 10,000. I'll do for free. I think it's a discovery. As you grow yourself, within yourself, your confidence grows, your body of work grows, the price will get changed. So maybe you start with, again, each has its own. So in, I have done workshop for 30,000 also, and for the same workshop, I've charged now 75,000 also. So I think it's a discovery. As you get confident, you have some body of work to display, your price will start going up. So I'll suggest that don't get into, I mean, this is my take, don't get into any fixed formula. Ask yourself, what is the worth of your time? So if you think, and don't undervalue yourself at all. Oh, no, 1 hour, what am I doing? I'm sitting at home and doing nothing. So it's okay if they pay me 5,000 rupees also. You know, it's like you join an organization and the organization says, you know what, we'll have you with this kind of salary and let's see your performance and then we'll evaluate and increase. You know, 1-1.5-2 साल तो ऐसे ही चला जाएगा. So you are stuck with your starting salary with the hope that, oh, they promised me that it'll increase. So don't undervalue yourself. At the same time, don't overprice yourself. Ask yourself, what is my worth of that half an hour or 1 hour I'm giving, number one. And remember, it's not just 1 hour. If you really want to do a good job, however good you are on that topic, you have to spend few good number of hours preparing for it and then practicing it, right from scripting to practice to deliver. And so to me, there's a talk show that I do where my initial session is only about 3 minutes, setting the context. And for those 3 minutes, at least about 3 to 4 hours of my time goes over a week, practicing, writing, and then finally delivering. So ask yourself, what is your value? What is the value of your time? And that's how the price discovery should happen to my mind. Because believe you me, there is no fixed formula. Whatever, it's a gut feel. It's a gut feel. Yeah,
I like that. Because
you ask your gut, you just quote it. Sometimes somebody will say, oh no, this is too high. Then you have a choice to consider, okay, fine. You know, and there also don't give it so easily. I mean, always make that other person feel that I'm doing it for you. So that next time when there's something, that person will remember you. Don't give up so easily and say, it's okay. I always make that person realize that I'm doing this for you and you only. Otherwise, I would not have agreed.
True.
So that's the way, for me, the price discovery works. And that's the way I've discovered my price. There are times when for the same subject, my gut feel says that, oh, this client has a budget. It's a large company. I have doubled my price for the same talk that I did for, say, 100 rupees. I quoted 200 and I got it also. So it's a combination of discovery and gut.
So I'll just add here, Roshni.
That is something we keep doing in our sales consulting also. So I am incidentally a sales coach and consultant also. So we keep doing these same lessons there as well. Yes, Neeraja, you had to.
No, I was just going to say that there was a client to whom I quoted, and this was some time back, and it was kind of revelation for me. I quoted something and they said, oh my God, we'll pay much more than that. They actually paid me much more than that. So I think, the revelation was that, okay, what are you trying to do, Neeraja? And then I've kind of, worked on that price.
I also just want to add, like Neeraja also said, so when you're getting a call, try and check if there's a sponsorship for the event. What is the brand associated with it? Is it a paid ticket? So, you consider all these things. And when you, dig little deep, you'll find there maybe past event posters. You'll get a fair idea as to, when you go on social media, you can check their old events. I'm sure Google mein sab kuch milta hai aajkal. Except the pricing for your talk, you'll find everything in Google. So do some little homework before you actually quote a price, because sometimes you'll be surprised, with clients having budget and they want you can actually get away with, more than what you wanted.
Okay, awesome. So I just have two very important questions to ask, and then we will move to the Q&A round from the audience. So first is that, are there any platforms that you both can suggest where people can A, go to practice their speaking skills, and B, they can get more speaking gigs? So any platforms you can suggest?
Yeah, shall I go ahead?
Yes.
Yes, Lokesh, I think that's up your alley.
We have about, how many members you have in SHEmantra across the country?
350 plus.
350 plus. I think this is the best platform where you can come and practice your talks, if you ask me honestly.
That's why we have SHEtalks.
Yeah. So, not only, so don't just invite, say, people like us. At times you have your online, this thing itself, where you invite, say, today we have 3 speakers who within SHEmantra family, they're going to come and present. And one of the way to do is probably float a Google form with a theme. And people who really want to come and practice, they will fill the form and keep it very detailed so that they actually, and if you're already doing it, then it's great. But this is what I believe in. that people should do that initial hard work of filling the form. And then you have a committee which will unbiasedly screen them. If you want neutral, there are people like us who will help you figure, like what we do for Indian Army. In Indian Army, one of my condition was, it's a pro bono thing, my love for the Army. One of my condition was none of the Army people will shortlist the speakers. It'll be completely my baby. So that there is absolutely no bias, no rank bias, no known bias, etc. Right? So you do that, and probably once in a month, have probably 3 or 4 speakers, 10 to 12 minutes, let them come and speak. You can have your own Toastmaster. That's what I'm trying to say.
That's
Why do you need to go to another platform?
Is that,
and every month you can invite one person outsider who will come and listen to them and give a feedback.
Okay.
I think this is because most of you are coaches and doing public speaking in some form or the other. So why not just build your own community and help each other? I think this is one way. Second is, as I said in the beginning, look out for schools, even a small event in your building that's happening. Take the initiative and say, you raise your hand and say, I'm going to speak today, or I'm going to sing today. I mean, many a times, even in social gatherings, if somebody comes to you and says, why don't you sing a song, or why don't you say something? And what do we do? Nahi, aaj mera gala kharab hai, not today. Let somebody else start. I think that is an opportunity for you to grab the mic and make your presence feel, So, and these are small things which will help you, one, get confidence, increase that self-belief. And who knows, somebody in that building was some senior HR guy whom you were also not aware, and suddenly, oh my God, I think this lady actually can speak. Let me invite her for a talk. So this is what I believe in. And whenever you look at any poster of any talk show happening anywhere in the country, especially in your local city, don't just look at it, oh, there is a talk show there. See who are the organizers. Go to Google, search them, write to them that this is my body of work, and have your mail ready, a very sharp mail. Why me? What is the subject that I'm going to speak about? And my profile. So, you have this 5, 6, 7 line email or WhatsApp ready. When you meet somebody, you send it to them. It's like an elevator pitch. Imagine you have 30 seconds in the lift from 0 to 10th floor, and you should be able to give your pitch. Don't miss out any opportunity around you when you see on social media, whether it's Facebook, LinkedIn. That's how to tell you the truth, I'm speaking tomorrow at World Story Congress. And I reached out to them when I got to know about the platform, saying that, listen, I have a story to tell and you have a story Congress. So this is my profile. And then they took about 3 days and they reverted saying that. So I had no shame in admitting that I wrote to them rather than inviting me. Because probably in the first season, I wrote to them. Next season, they may write to me. And let me tell you, thanks to this, today I met some large company HR and L&D heads where we exchange notes. I spoke to them about storytelling, and I'm sure that will convert into some work over a period of time.
That's awesome. So what I hear you saying is that seek out and self-invite. That is a good way to get more speaking gigs.
Till you're not known, you have to, till you make it, you fake it.
Yes, absolutely. Last question, putting across to you, Neeraja, that what according to you should be the 3 very essential things one should include when they are pitching for a speaking opportunity, like in an email like Lokesh just highlighted? What according to you are 3 must-have in your pitch?
So I think the clientele platform spoken at, and Lokesh keeps talking about body of work. You have to build the portfolio. So don't worry, we all start at 0. Okay. And I mean, this is a fantastic, crowd that we have, where we've had people who've spoken 50 places in the last 6 months. But for those who may not have, we start at 0. And then we make it 1, and then it becomes 5 and 10. It will build that, but you have to build, right? So speak about definitely the clientele and platforms that you have. Like, for example, my first line in the intro was Neeraja has spoken at LinkedIn and CII, etc., right? Yes. So that is very important. I think the one slider on the topics and niche will help. I mean, it depends on you're building a 1-page profile or you're building a 4-page profile. So I'm saying there has to be space for topics and niche, I think, because there is also a pull from that aspect. I also, and mine is a bit of a deck. What I send is a few slides. In that one slide has recordings of some of my talks, which I play around with, depending on where I'm sending it out. I put different formats. I will have a podcast, I will have a video interview, I'll have a keynote, and I will have a workshop. So I play around with that so that they get a flavor of what all I have done around that topic, or how I kind of deliver. And I'll say a fourth thing is testimonials. I think that's a good thing to have, is what I would say. What I also have put in my deck is a collage of all the creatives that have come from all the speaking engagements. And it's actually a crowded slide, but I like it that way because then it has the weight of,
Wow.
this is what you've done in the past.
If I can just add, we need to be a little shameless.
Yes.
And I'll tell you
Shameless
why I'm saying this.
self-promotion.
और हमको ये लगता है कि दुनिया क्या सोचेगी. So when we did this event on 14th of October with the army wives in Delhi, the chief guest was none other than Dr. Kiran Bedi. She is somebody we all look up to with her achievements. In the end, when she was on the stage, she took out her phone and she did a live tweet.
Wow.
Doing a video of the whole thing all by herself. And she said, no, this is very important for people to know that I'm attending this. What was she doing? She was basically self-promoting herself. And we also got promoted in the process. But the thing is, a person of her stature did not think twice to come and ask, okay, I'm taking a video. Can I have a picture? And she was posting it all. So this is something that, many a times we hesitate. No, it will not look nice to ask somebody for a picture or shoot a video and post it. I think you got to be shameless. And all those who stay back till the Q&A is over, in the end, I will share two very magical tips that will help everybody to really discover something exciting.
Awesome. So that's the hook right there, and people do stay back. So thank you so much, Neeraja and Lokesh. Those were some great insights, very valuable sharings, and I'm sure audience also have their own questions. Now I would like to bring in Mansi to help us take the questions that we've been having in the chat and the audience might be having. So Mansi, are you there?
Yeah, thanks Roshni, I'm there. So far there have been no questions as such from the audience.
Okay. Oh, they are so absorbed in whatever Lokesh and Neeraja are sharing. So Maya has a question, but she's raised her hand. Let's take it from her.
I think Shivani has a question.
Maya, you need to unmute.
Maya also. Mia, sorry. Payal, let me use the easier name.
Yes, Maya, you can unmute and say.
Thanks, Lokesh, and thanks, Neeraja. It's wonderful listening to both of you coming in from such elite speakers. I've heard Neeraja speak a lot at various different events as well. So my question again, this is going back to the fact that, both of you have addressed the fear factor. So I'm somebody who started speaking at various different events very recently, and I've been fortunate enough to have the backing of extremely powerful brands at the moment. However, at every speaking gig, I definitely go through the fear factor. And I would probably feel that I'm underprepared for some reason, but then the audience feedback tells me that no, you did pretty decent. But I'm just trying to understand from speakers like you, what are some of the coping mechanisms, or what could be something that one could actually practice, do to sort of address the stage fear, if I were to call it so?
So if I can, one is, there's no substitute to practice. More you practice, better your body language will be on stage, number one. And a little bit of fear is absolutely fine. There's nothing wrong in it, but practice is the key for you to overcome that fear that you may have. There is no other substitute. You'll be surprised to know when Bill Gates spoke for the first time at TEDx, he went on to say that he practiced about 25 times. Wow. Imagine somebody like him, and it's a fact. Whatever you see on TEDx stage, it's all well rehearsed 25 to 30 times minimum. So to me, I think that's the key. And second is, I'm a homegrown product. There was no coach, nothing. I today advise everybody, if you're serious about it, have a coach or a mentor for your public speaking, this thing, which will help you a lot. Because there are a lot of those small things that he or she will be able to help you iron out. And that will probably make the difference between a talk and a wow talk.
I think Lokesh said it. I'm sure all of us do a script. So it's very important for us to have a script, and I script it to the word, right? And then I practice, and I do two rounds for sure. One is to time it, and then the second one is when you have timed it and it is always overshooting that time, so you will remove a few things. Then the second round of practice is to see whether it still has that impact without those words. And of course, TEDx, yeah, I did hundreds, I think, because you have to keep it to that 16, 17 minutes, right? But the script, and I've heard someone, I don't know if anyone has heard of Arvind Natkarni, he's no more now. He used to run a program called as the Art of Talkomatics. When I was in ANZ, he used to be there every week delivering that program, and all of us have attended a 3-day program, and it was amazing. And he used to say, in your script, you will say, this is where the joke will come. And what is that joke? Okay. It appears that we pulled out a joke like that, but no. You've also thought of the joke. You've also thought of the incident. You've also thought of the story, and you've put it in your script. And over a period of time, of course, your rehearsals should ensure that it appears very natural. It will over a period of time. Even if you have mugged up the speech, you have to ensure that it appears natural, impromptu, and over a period of time, you will add your own jokes later also. That happens. But I think the script is so very important, even for something as small as a panel discussion here that we did today, because you need to prepare, you need to know the amount of time per question and what you're going to speak, so that there's no clash between the other speaker. You're not repeating the same things, right? Otherwise, the audience is going to get bored. So anything that, you speak 10 minutes to, even if it's 4 hours of a workshop, I'm sure we practice. And I practice the 4 hours at least twice. So it is 8 hours, you're right? And Lokesh was saying for the 3 minutes he does over a week. I think that scripting and that practicing will automatically elevate your confidence. Fear to rahega, but forget it. What's the worst?
Awesome. Great point. Yes, Shivani, next question.
Thank you so much, Neeraja and Lokesh. This was wonderful. Very, very insightful. My question is, you both talked about the body of work and a niche that we should have. And I'm wondering, where can we start with it apart from the why? Why is a very important question, and I could relate to that. But apart from why, you can have varied interests or varied subjects that you like to talk about. What can be something beneficial to find or narrow it down further in case if we have to bring it to the niche? Any ideas on that?
I think to me, it's again a discovery which you do over a period of time. So when I started with financial wellness because of my background in financial services industry. And I realized that, that is something that I can do in my sleep. Over a period of time, I discovered that storytelling and public speaking is where I want to be. And that's, so people do invite me on other things also, but this is what defines me now. It took me about 5 years to really understand, especially somebody like me who had no certification, no qualification. Most of you are certified coaches, NLP practitioners, etc. Here I have nothing. So I discovered over a period of time, and I'm very comfortable now.
Thank you.
Yeah, I think it also will come to you. See, it's a USP that you use, right? To sell the other services that you're offering. Mm-hmm. So maybe you draw it out from there, right? Mm-hmm. So I think people just call me networking nerd because I preach what I practice. That's what I do. It's not the other way around. So it just emerged, became a niche. And I'll probably say about my daughter, right? So she has been writing so fluently at LinkedIn and using her LinkedIn that today, of course, she's still, in college, but that seems to have become a niche. She does offer time management. She does offer interview skills, etc., to, a lot of colleges. But LinkedIn profile building and usage of LinkedIn seems to have become her niche at the moment, and she gets calls. So I think, you kind of figure out the services that you offer and maybe pull out 1 or 2 and then it'll be.
Yeah, thank you. I mean, it kind of reminded me of what Roshni had said in her session. You need to be called for something that is the median, and then things can go both the sides.
Yeah,
thank you.
Thanks for the question.
I think Deepa put a question on the chat.
Okay.
Deepa, you want to ask?
I think our question is it okay to have a PPT or index cards during the talk?
Yeah, is it okay to have that as a reference? And second, what are some pointers to make it impactful? Like, what are some 3 things we should include in a talk so that audience listens to you and you leave a good impression?
So, like every talk, you have a strong opening where you set the context with the audience. You create that excitement and a little bit of curiosity. You don't give everything in the opening first few minutes, and then in the middle is like middle overs where you keep scoring small runs, and then you end on a high where definitely there should be call for action, so that's what they take home and they start working on. And that's usually the structure of a story. And coming to PPTs, if it is relevant to your topic, what you're talking, I think PPT is fine. If your story doesn't connect with the PPT, then I think it's a disaster in making. And make sure that the PPTs, one, they are relevant and they're not for too long, because people want to see you, hear you. It should not be like they're so engrossed in the PPT or the videos that you share. I mean, that's my take. That's what I tell our speakers on the TEDx as well.
I'll just add a bit there. Sorry.
Yeah. So just trying to elaborate on my question or to make it more clear. So my question is, we are talking for an hour, right? And you have in your mind what you want to cover during that 1 hour. So how do you remember and the flow? So if you have just a few bullet points, either on an index card or a PPT, it just becomes easy and then it flows naturally to you. So that is the reason I was asking that.
On a lighter note, you need to hire me as your coach. On a serious note, yes, it's absolutely fine to have what we call it cue sheets or index cards. It's absolutely no problem at all. In fact, you can, if you're smart enough, you can use the PPT which is there on screen, which is made in such a way that the visual connect with your story, and every visual is a reminder of your next
I do that. So just a visual to connect with the story and then talk.
Perfect. No issues at all.
Okay. So I was just going to add before Rituparna goes for the question is, so, a few years ago, so work-life integration was a topic, right? And there was this platform that was establishing itself, and they asked me, will you do a talk, 20-minute talk? We'll record it, we'll put on our YouTube channel and promote it, etc. So I did it, 20-minute work-life integration talk. And then, because I was still new to speaking, and largely I had audiences who were younger women who used to come. So I thought I must put this out and seek feedback from, say, slightly senior women. So I gave it to a friend of mine. We've kind of grown up together in our careers. And then another group where there were senior women leaders. My friend told me the talk was boring. She just outright said it was boring. And the group there, they gave me feedback from good to great to, Neeraja, you quoted something. It would have been good if there was a slide or something which you could anchor on, which we could anchor on, for 20 minutes, we are looking at you and listening to you for sure. But would you quote diya tha na? If we could have seen that quote in the background, it would have, just kind of enhanced it. So since then, I've ensured that I have a PPT with very minimal, you've seen some of mine, right? With very minimal stuff in it, but it kind of, people will kind of anchor and say, okay, this is what she's talking about. And then the boring thing actually taught me a learning. We are speaking to a particular audience and hence we pitch our talk to that audience. TEDx is a great example, right? I went and I spoke to school students, that TEDx was. But that recording will go all over the world. Now you want everybody else also to kind of resonate with that. And similarly, most of our talks are getting recorded today and putting out. How do you ensure that that talk, actually clicks with every other kind of an audience? And that's a learning. That's something that you have to work on, I think, in terms of your style, so that anyone else, largely 80% at least, kind of catch it and they love it. I think, this is not a plug for me to ask you to watch my TEDx, but I think that happened with it. While I spoke to students and their parents and the school, people have come back to me, they might have been college students, there will be parents having kids of that age, there are parents whose kids have got married, and because the talk was about my life journey, everyone seemed to have connected with something around the theme. So that is very important for your impactful talk. I must say that.
Very valid.
Okay, thank you.
We have just about time to take one last question. Rituparna, you've had your hand raised. So Rituparna, last question, and then we will move to closing.
Okay, thank you so much. Last question. I hope it's a valuable question for everyone. Thank you, Neeraja, and thank you, Lokesh. And thank you, Lokesh, for accepting my LinkedIn request in the middle of your talk, which is fantastic. Right. Okay. So my question is that, okay, so I am a storyteller, trainer, consultant, and coach. My life work weaves around the whole art and craft of storytelling, and I help businesses, people, individuals, not for profits, use storytelling, leverage storytelling in their work, in their business, in their life. Now, the one thing, even though I am a performance storyteller, I do perform. People pay me to go and perform and entertain them as a storyteller. The one thing which I've not really put out is that not a speaker. So even though I've got a TEDx talk, I have done it. The point is that people assume that because I train, because I run a business on storytelling, because I love telling stories, my time is available for everyone. So they ask me to come and talk at times, but they're not willing to pay me for it. Do you think adding the word speaker or a keynote speaker to your description, to your bio, will enable people to understand that, okay, she's expecting money for it? Because there have been all kinds of things where, engagements where people say, oh, X and Y is coming, has a double doctorate and a this and a that, and they are not charging any money. So trying to push those negotiation buttons. So I don't want to discourage that right at the beginning. So do you recommend putting that out formally? Will it help people understand what it really means?
I think that's a very relevant point you've made.
Let me ask you
because
this.
Many people they have the intention of speaking, but they don't add that speaker.
Yeah, we don't. Because even if we want to begin,
very relevant for everyone else.
But even before that, Rituparna, I want to ask you a question. Are you ready to ask for a prize? Forget about what
of course I do. No, I do.
Then let people say whatever they say. Let people say whatever they say. You ask for your prize and say, this is who I am. See, people I'm telling you, I'm working with a speaker who is the Iron Man general from the army. People reach out to him for doing it for free. So people will always try their luck. It's up to us that we put our foot down. Yes, if you write things like speaker or whatever, it may help. But ultimately, what will help you is what are you asking for? Okay. Now, I think we want to wind up, but I just want to share 2 quick tips with all of you. If Roshni, if you permit me, I personally feel that this may help. So let me ask you this. How many of you are scared to negotiate or ask for a price? Raise your hand. That if a call comes and you're not sure, what do I do? So I'll tell you what I do. And this is how I have overcome over a period of time. So find a buddy for yourself. Okay. So on your behalf, the moment somebody calls you, say, please speak to my advisor, so and so. Let that person, because to negotiate for a third person is far easier. And similarly, for that person, you start negotiating. Now, once you start doing this, you'll realize that suddenly you both are being able to quote a price and close the deal. Because this is a huge challenge for every speaker, people like us, to ask for a price. So let somebody else do it. So I take help from my colleague Anupriya. I make her talk to my clients, and for her case, I try and talk. So I have a buddy. So it becomes very, very easy for each other to negotiate a price. The second is many of you saying that I need to have my body of work, or I need to have few videos, etc., etc. I mean, I'm sure if I understood correctly, the idea, the vision of SHEmantra is to help everybody, the members, right? Is that correct?
Yes.
Whenever there's an opportunity besides yourself, start inviting fellow SHEmantra members for the talk, however small it is. What will happen is, if I'm inviting you, you are inviting me, you will surely have, within 6 months, each one of you will have at least 2 to 3 videos of your talks that you can share with your client. So if you do, so we need to work with each other. We cannot, because I personally believe there's nothing called competition. There is so much work for everybody. This competition is a myth in public speaking space, because ultimately people will invite you for your work. Doesn't matter whom you are competing with. If your work is good, people will do that. Right? So these are the 2 tips that I want to share with you. Third and fourth thing, I will send a blog that I wrote on how to give a wow talk. Probably some of the pointers will help you, right from scripting to be on the stage. I'll share that, and that can be distributed among all the SHEmantra members. And finally, if you all want, some point of time, maybe a month, 2 months later, we can have a 2-hour session on what goes into from storytelling to public speaking on stage.
Okay.
Because me and Anupriya, we do that workshop across the country. So we can do that for about 2 hours, where we'll take you through the entire journey of how do you make your talk from just a script to a wow talk?
Okay.
That helps,
Sure.
yeah?
Sure. That's nice.
Yeah.
And thank you so much for those closing tips, Lokesh. I want to bring in Shilpa here to just give her experience and last closing remarks on today's session.
Thank you, Roshni. So firstly, I would want to say a wow job. What a debut, Roshni. I think let's give a big applause to the immense facilitation skills and presence Roshni exhibited today, which made the session just seem so seamless. Thank you, Lokesh. It's not easy being a diversity candidate ever. So we all know that. And you passed with flying colors. Amazing, amazing to see your humility and the ability to share so generously. I think these are things which always click with any audience. And I say, if everything else fails, authenticity always wins. And I think that's shown through very beautifully in everything that you communicated. So thanks very much for your time. I see Surekha is already noting down vigorously, even before you said it, 2 hours and a training session. We are hungry to learn, grow, and make money at SHEmantra and make other SHEmantrans do the same. So very welcome once again coming back to SHEmantra to add value. And Neeraja, what do I say? I think I've just seen you grow and grow and grow. Your entire journey from 2020 onwards, it's happened like a movie in front of my eyes. One thing which she, in my opinion, does really well, which doesn't get highlighted every time she speaks on this topic, is her ability to stay so consistent, not just in the talks, but also the ability to come back and post it on LinkedIn and social media and tag every person she must have met, which actually expands her followership, builds her personal brand, and over a period of time, it started a virtuous cycle for her, right? The other thing which she does very generously is that whenever there is an opportunity to connect or to add value, she does that. So it's not just for tagging, but it is also in real life. If she's met someone and she sees an opportunity for that person somewhere else, she would make sure that, she is a connector. To me, a networker is someone who's a real connector. You see that in the way Lokesh introduces himself. And Neeraja, I've seen that happening in real life as well. And last but not the least, I think it is also speed. Sometimes we do great talks, but we come back and procrastinate. And I think if you, in this day and age, don't leverage from the talk, which might have been heard in a closed room by 50 people, and don't expand that reach to maybe, LinkedIn now has 900 million people, 100 million from India. Right. So look at the kind of expanse your conversation can, reach and the impact, Neeraja. So you do it for various reasons, but I think you just multiply the impact as well. So I want to acknowledge you for that as well. So thank you very much for today again. And team SHEcoaches, whether you could be fully present or not, but I think the commitment to making us learn, grow, and prosper. I think that abundance just is in so much your DNA when you think and conceive of these events. Stay blessed. Thank you. Over to you, Roshni.
Thank you, Shilpa. Roshni, 1 minute. Sorry, I have to say thank you. The ability to ask my price has come from being in SHEmantra. I will say that again and again. And I told Shilpa that 2021, my quotation during Women's Day, I must have done 10 talks in that Women's Week. Okay. And last year, I think with one talk, I made the money of all those 10 talks. And this year, I think it's elsewhere. So I think that ability, that confidence to ask for what you kind of deliver as value has come from being in SHEmantra. Shilpa, thank you for that. And one last bit I will say again is that please ask every possible question to the organizer. Today, we are going in person, right? Online is still different. What is the stage going to be like? What is the stadium going to be like? How many people are they going to sit in the front, in the back? What is the mic going to be like? I struggle with this head, whatever mic they collar mic. So the hand mic. All of this you need to visualize before you go out there and deliver your talk, because it makes you feel a bit more comfortable. Suddenly, if you're kind of assuming something and the stage is different, the audience is different, the mic is different, I think half of it you've lost, right? You take a little bit more time to adjust. So I trouble the organizers as much as, they may hate me, but I will get every possible detail out. And visualize myself on that before I actually go there.
Prepare, practice, and visualize.
Thanks everybody, and special thanks to Meera for inviting me, for proposing my name. Otherwise, I wouldn't be here right now.
No, thank you. Thank you so much, everyone, to be here. And thanks, Shilpa, for adding the cherry on the top, because no session is complete without your words of wisdom. Thank you, Lokesh, Neeraja, and everyone who is present in this session today. Please remember to join us back next week on 24th of Feb, where we will have the She Talks session. 3 people from She Mantrans will be giving their talk. Kavita Yadav, Geeta Sethi, and Roli Kesarwani. Please be there to cheer them up and also learn from them, like the last time we did learn from our speakers. So support each other and be there to learn and cheer up all of the speakers in the next session on 24th Feb. Thank you so much, everyone, for today's attendance, and loved the session today. Thank you, Lokesh and Neeraja, once again.
Thank you all.
Thank you all.
See you on the other side. Bye.
Bye.
Keep spreading joy and abundance everywhere with your words. All the best. Bye.